Hello and welcome to the Asian Game here on a cold and wet day here in Adelaide. Again, all our coverage sponsored by our good friends at SMC. Joined by a special guest. Again, I'll take everyone behind the curtain. We did record a conversation the other day with Isabel Hodsgon, but someone forgot to turn the microphone on. So it is on this time, so we are recording. Captain of the Adelaide United A-League women's side, Isabel, thanks very much for joining us.
Of course, good to be back.
Thank you. You're looking rather wet. It has been raining. When we did the pre-video with Michael Church and I out here, the sun was shining, but the clouds have come in. We've just witnessed Korea get knocked out of the World Cup. They fell 1-0 to Morocco. History for Morocco with their first goal, and a little bit of history for Asian football as well. Ibtisam Jaradi, who scored the opening goal. She actually plays their club football in Saudi Arabia as well. So first person to play their club football in Saudi Arabia to score at the Women's World Cup as well. So Korea might have been knocked out, but still a little bit of history here for Asian football. But I'll get on to talking about that later when I'm joined by Michael Church. But while I've got you here, Isabel, you pretty much jumped straight off a plane from Brisbane. You're up there for the Matildas Nigeria game in France versus Brazil last night. Straight here to Hindmarsh Stadium for another game. How good is the World Cup on home soil?
It's amazing. I guess I'm taking full advantage of it, aren't I?
As I said, you're up in Brisbane for those two games. We'll talk about the Australia-Nigeria game now. When we did speak the other day, we did say we were both a little bit worried about that game. We just got the news that Mary Fowler was out for that one. And it turned out that we had good reason to be worried, a 3-2 loss. What were your immediate reactions after that game?
Besides heartbroken, I think it was just disappointing. I think we had a lot of potential in that game and we just didn't really fulfill that. Going ahead, I was really confident. I felt really good. But once they scored, I actually got a bit worried, and I thought they're really in this game, and if we're not careful, they are going to take the points, and they did.
Yeah, they were very clinical. Australia created a plethora of opportunities, couldn't take them. The ones Nigeria created, they did take. What was the feeling inside the stadium after the game? Because everyone went there expecting Australia to take all 3 points. So as Nigeria got their first and their second and then their third, what was the feeling inside the stadium?
I feel like with every goal, just a little bit more of me died inside, to be honest. But yeah, it was a bit of a slumber feeling in the stadium. But I mean, like a lot of the players from the Matildas say, it's when the back's against the wall, we come out swinging. So maybe this is a situation we needed to beat Canada. So you got to stay positive.
Do or die Matildas has been the kind of their phrase over the years. It is now literally do or die as they head to Melbourne tomorrow night to take on Canada. You had a bad feeling ahead of the Nigeria game that proved to be correct. What's your stomach saying to you about this game?
I feel better about this game. I think Canada obviously is a great team, but the football they play is very similar to us, and I think we play better with teams that play similar to us. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's do or die for us, so I think we'll get the best out of the girls.
Australians in any sport tend to play their best when their backs are against the wall. We love that underdog mentality. Do you think that will kind of actually help us in this game?
I think so. I think the fact that we need to win, I think we'll play better. And by the sounds of it, it looks like Sam will be back and Mary will be back. And I think that's a good people that we did miss. Like you said, we did create a lot of chances, but no one was scoring goals. So we need goal scorers on the field. So to have those two back, I think is going to be really important. I
want to talk about Mary. She missed the last game. She was expected to fill the void that Sam Kerr left. Remains to be seen whether Sam will play. I think there's some ducks and drakes going on in the media as to whether she will or she won't. But Mary is pretty much expected to be back. That's pretty much been confirmed. You played with Mary, obviously, here at Adelaide United. What can you tell us about her and what impact do you expect her to have when she comes back?
Well, yeah, just seeing her in her first game, she's playing some amazing football and she does have a cracking shot and she's hungry for goal. I think when she played here, she was always scoring goals at training and just bangers top corners for fun. So she's similar to Sam in that sense where they do score goals for fun. So I think we need someone like her out on the field and I'm looking forward to her coming back in. I think she got some confidence from that first game and perhaps scoring against France in the friendly. I think she's building up really nicely for this Canada game.
And what's your gut telling you about Sam Kerr? Do you think she'll play? Will she be risked in this game, do you think?
I think there will be a chance that she does play. If she starts, I'm not sure, but I think she'll be utilised at some point. It's do or die. If, God forbid we're down, wouldn't surprise me if she goes out there with whatever she has left of the calf to get some minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you have played for Australia before at underage level, the Young Matildas. Tell us about that experience. What is it like to represent your country? We're seeing the players here get to do it on the world stage. It's special regardless whether it's senior level, underage level. What was the feeling like for you?
Yeah, look, it was one of my favourite memories of playing football. When you get the opportunity to put on a shirt and play for your country, it's amazing. And I don't know how those girls will be feeling at the moment at the World Cup and their home soil. It would just be, I'm sure, one in a lifetime opportunity for them.
And in that squad was a certain Ali Carpenter. She would have been about 12 years old at that stage, I think, given how long ago that was. Did you get the sense then that she would go on to become the player that she has?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. She was very, very young, and she was a starting player in the under-21s with girls 4 or 5 years older than her. And she was just so athletic and so fast and so good that you just knew that she was someone special. And I reckon that right after that year, she played for Wanderers, and then she was straight to Portland Thorns. So she did fly out of that.
Yeah. When you look around the stadium here today, there was almost 13,000 here today for Korea versus Morocco, which, was almost unheard of when you think about it for two nations, not necessarily high-drawing nations, to get a sellout crowd here in Adelaide. We're seeing it all across the country. The one in Brisbane last night for France versus Brazil, record-breaking crowds. What kind of bounce do you hope that women's football in Australia, the A-League women's competition, gets on the back of this? Yeah,
I think just seeing that then a filled Cooper Stadium, it's not something you normally see unless the men are playing. So. And what teams to watch? It's it's on an Australian game. It's Morocco versus Korea, and the fact that we pretty much filled it was fantastic. And I really hope that this continues on through to the A-League, and we'll play some games here as well. And it'd be great to see the public come out and watch those games as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Isabel, thanks very much for joining us again here on the Asian Game. Very much appreciated. You're not going to be in Melbourne, unfortunately, tomorrow night, but you were telling me you are hosting the Fan Festival here tomorrow night, so that will be just as good. Hopefully there's some wild celebrations. There is that huge game tomorrow. As I said, one of the stars for Australia will be Hayley Raso. Earlier today, she spoke to the media ahead of that huge game, and here's a little bit of what she had to say.
Hayley, how is everyone feeling ahead of Canada?
Yeah, we're feeling good at the moment. Obviously, hugely disappointing result, but we've left that behind us. We're looking forward. Everything's about this game and going into it and making sure we win.
Now, before we get to Canada, you said you've left it behind. What kind of review work happens to be able to leave the result behind?
Yeah, you obviously have to do a bit of analysis on it. You have to work through what went well, what didn't, and why the result was the way it was. So we've done that analysis. We've been back out on the training pitch today. Everybody's in a good state of mind and really looking forward to the next game.
How quickly did the team, and how important is it to turn that corner really quickly?
I think in tournament football, it's important to make sure you turn the corner quickly. You can't really relish in the highs too long, and the same with the lows. You have to leave them behind you. You have to put all your focus into the next game because they come around quickly.
There was a 7-day break between Ireland and Nigeria. Do you think it's helpful that it's a very quick turnaround from Nigeria to Canada?
I do think it's really helpful. We're able to put that loss behind us. We're able to regroup, focus, get back out on the pitch for just, I think, 2 training sessions, and then we're off again ready to play. So you're able to quickly adjust and turn yourselves around for the next game.
Your own game is quite high tempo, high speed kind of game. How do you then freshen up when you've got such a quick turnaround?
Making sure we do all the right things in terms of recovery, cryotherapy, ice baths, nutrition, hydration. There's a lot of things that go into it, but just making sure we look after our bodies, our minds, physically, mentally, and just refreshing yourself so you're able to go again so quickly.
Does it help, or is it helpful that the equation's really simple? Win and the Matildas go through?
I think so, and it just kind of means that the playoffs, I guess, start now. So for us, we know it's a must win. We're fighters. I think we play and perform well when our backs are against the wall. So we know we have to win, and we'll go out there and we'll make sure we do that.
Of course, the team is focusing on ourselves, but also Canada, Olympic champions, played them less than 12 months ago. How does that help in the fact that you have played them in the recent past?
I think it's important that we've played against them recently. We know the way they play. We've watched a lot of clips on them as well. But it definitely helps when you've played against them in the recent past to be able to know what you need to do to be able to win this game.
Going to Melbourne has been a happy hunter ground for the Matildas in recent years. How does it feel to be playing in a stadium that is quite familiar for the team?
Yeah, it's exciting, I think. Going to Melbourne, they like to say the sporting capital. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fans there. We need to make sure they all get behind us because we hear them. We always do. We're looking forward to being in Melbourne, being in that stadium, basically just getting the game kicked off and getting it started.
What's going to be key for the team to put in the performance that leads to that victory?
I think tournament football, you know that there's never an easy game. You know that you have to perform. You know that you have to win. For us, like I said, we've got that never say die attitude. We've got that fighting spirit. It's about belief. It's about knowing that we can win. And I think when we step out there and when we cross that line, we're all going to be raring to go.
Let's just talk really generally about the World Cup for a moment. Right behind you is the Fan Festival. What's it been like to have the tournament on home soil in your home state?
Yeah, nothing better. I was saying this earlier about being in Queensland, my home state, having my friends and family at the game. It's incredible. But literally, like from my deck, I can see the Fan Festival. I can actually see the screen and watch the games. So it's pretty special and really amazing.
And this World Cup has shown just how far women's football have come. You know, the so-called lower-ranked teams have really put in great performances and really forced the high-ranked teams to be on their game. What does that mean for the future of the game?
Yeah, it's this World Cup already. You've seen how amazing all the teams have been doing. There is absolutely no easy game. Every team is putting in outstanding performances. All the games are tough. The crowds, it's not just us Aussies getting the big crowds. You're seeing so many people at all the games. I think that already shows just how much women's football has progressed, but seeing it here, I think that just goes to show like how much it's going to keep progressing in the future.
Do you feel a little bit proud about how Australia is showing out for this tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I always knew that Australia would put on a show. People would turn up, the streets would be packed, the fan festivals would be packed. I think we always knew that would happen, but to be in the heart of it and to see it, it's absolutely incredible.
All right, welcome back. Paul Williams now joined by Michael Church alongside me to recap Korea's 1-0 loss today to Morocco that sees their World Cup campaign come to an end after 2 consecutive losses. Pretty disappointing performance again. I thought they were disappointing in their first performance. Expected a bounce back today against a team that on paper appeared eminently beatable given their first performance against Germany, but that certainly wasn't the case today. Fell behind early and then just couldn't find their way back into the game.
A very poor performance right from the very first kickoff, I thought, Paul. I think against the Colombians there were certainly moments early in the game, first 15-20 minutes, where they did play very well. They knocked the ball around nicely, looked a real threat. There was nothing of that nature really today. They looked nervous. They struggled in midfield. They rarely strung anything more than a couple of passes together. There was a lack of penetration. They were second best throughout in the battles in midfield. And then in the second half, whenever it came to it, there was a lot of sort of thumping the ball long and really a lack of imagination, a lack of creativity, and just a bit of a panic at times as well. Just generally, they just looked a class below Morocco in some respects, which really we didn't expect, bearing in mind the difficulties the Moroccans had in their first game against Germany, losing that 6-0. And also the fact that this is their first World Cup, but there's a lot of experience and a lot of quality in that Korean team, and it just didn't present itself at all today.
It didn't. You commented during the game the midfield of Ji So-yoon, Cho So-hyun, Lee Gu-min. I mean, fantastic players, each in their own right, but just didn't have any impact on the game. They were all off their game today. Ji had a couple of opportunities to either play through passes. She had that free kick from just outside the area and failed to capitalise on any of those opportunities that were presented. They really lacked any creativity. It was reminiscent of China's first half the other night before Wang Shuang come on and changed the game. But Korea didn't have that game changer to come off the bench. Colin Bell made a couple of changes today. The most notable one was Park Un-sun went up front to replace Cho Yuri. And she almost played the Kim Chinook role from Korea. It's just she was the large one at the front and just bomb it into her into the box and see what she can do. And she had a diving header in the first half that she perhaps should have scored, that could have changed the complexion of the game. But there was no creativity or imagination about what they were doing. It was just get the ball forward and try and win the second balls, but they struggled to do that. He did make some changes at halftime. He brought Choyuri on, and I thought she added some spark into the team at last. It wasn't significant, didn't necessarily create a hell of a lot, but there was all of a sudden a little bit more creativity, a little bit more dynamism in the attack, but it was really slim pickings in that second half. They had more of the possession, but still, really struggled to make anything of it.
Yeah, I thought Moon Miri, who also came on at halftime, I thought again she gave them a little bit more attacking impetus down the left side as well. But just all in all, it was a really disappointing performance. The Moroccans really were able to sit a little bit deeper, use their physical superiority to repel pretty much everything that came their way. And it was only really, we were just talking before about when Casey Fair came on. She came on with 6 or 7 minutes left of regular time. She played for a maximum of 13 minutes. And she fashioned a very good chance a couple of minutes after coming on, where she shot on the turn and just pulled it narrowly wide. She wasn't really given much of an opportunity to show what she could do. I think maybe Colin Bell would have been better served, maybe giving her a few more minutes, maybe bringing her on in the 75th minute and giving her a real run. A youthful enthusiasm, and she's got a physical presence, which again they weren't really lacking. The Koreans do have a little bit of physicality in the front, but certainly Casey would have helped. I think they just needed to give her a bit more time. It's unfortunate that she didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, I think 85th minute it might have been that she came out 84th, 85th, and it was just far too late to have any real impact in the game, even accounting for the fact of how much stoppage time gets played at these World Cup tournaments. She did create opportunities when she came on. They'll be interested to see, now that their campaign is over, whether he gives her more opportunities in that final game against Germany, perhaps even gives her a start to give her some more minutes. Whether he trusts her to do that or not yet remains to be seen. It was really interesting, just to finish off with, you mentioned Colin Bell. His press conference after the game was very passionate. I was going to say combative, but not necessarily combative. Very passionate. I don't know if the Korean FA were watching. I think he hopes that they were watching, because he certainly put out an impassioned plea to just completely change the way women's football in Korea is structured, is operated. It's unlike often you see from coaches after a tournament. He started it by basically saying that he didn't want to get into it. He wanted to keep it behind closed doors, and was probably just tempted a little bit too much. And then he just went all in.
He did, and he made some excellent points talking about the quality of club football in Korea and how that needs to change, and also that it just needs a complete overhaul, really, the women's game in Korea. He likened the situation to the situation that he found when he was working in Germany, and what was going on even in the men's game in Germany 20 years ago, and overhauls that were made there that ultimately led to the Germans winning the World Cup in 2014. He used Japan as an example. Again, a very valid example. And if you look at the development that's been happening in Japanese football, both men's and women's, over the last however long, he was very passionate. He clearly look. He has said this in previous press conferences. He's been in Korea for 4 years. He's fallen head over heels in love with the country, with the women's game there, and clearly enjoys what he does. And he wants it to be the best that it possibly can. And it was understandable that he laid it all out there today.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, thank you very much. I'll be seeing you again in a couple of days' time as China put their campaign on the line against England. Before we go, though, unfortunately, the Philippines campaign has come to an end as well. A heavy defeat suffered over there in Auckland against Norway. Our man on the ground, Ryan Fenix, was there, and he filed this report after full time.
And so just like that, our World Cup adventure comes to a crashing end at the hands of a 6-0 beating from Norway. The scoreline a little bit harsh in my opinion, but as we always say, the cream rises to the crop, and Norway certainly showed that they are one of the world's elite football teams. The Philippines, I thought, started off very, very brightly. Katrina Giu with the early dispossession of the opponent and earning herself a free kick. And probably that was the highlight of the first half for the Filipinas, as Norway scored 3 unanswered goals in the first half, theoretically and in all means deflating the Philippine chances. The Philippines actually enjoyed home field advantage, it seems like, because of the 34,000 people in attendance. I would suppose around about 30,000 of them were Pinoys, and they were really loud and they were really making a lot of noise. And unfortunately, they would come home disappointed. Norway just showing their might. And for the Philippines, everything that can go wrong did go wrong. An early goal conceded, an own goal, a penalty conceded, a red card, and generally a very tough day in the office for the Philippines. But I think overall, what the Philippines can take from this tournament and this almost miraculous run is that we are able to compete if we are given the proper investment, proper training, proper coach. And we hope to be back here at this level, but it would require another round of sacrifice, hard work, and players who are willing to commit to the team. And in the post-match press conference, Alen Stajic was non-committal as to whether he can take the team forward in the next round of games. So that will be a challenge, as well as trying to find perhaps clubs for our players, most of which who are yet to find regular football in their club careers. But one thing for sure that this World Cup run has done was inspire a lot of young Filipinos and Filipinas to aim high and to think that, if these kababayans can make it to this world level, going to the last match day against superpowers Norway and having actually a chance of qualifying for the next round of the World Cup, they can also make it. And I think that's, in the end, ultimately, that is what this group of Filipinas hope to achieve, the sort of legacy that they can impart to the younger generation to make sure that this World Cup is not a one-off. No, we're not here just one time. We want to be here always, coming and always competing and always be competitive. And hopefully, come 2027, who knows, the Philippines may hopefully be back in this world stage.
All right, thanks to Ryan for that. That is where we will leave things for today. Michael, again, thanks for your company here today. As I said, I'll see you in a couple of days' time for the big one, the Asian champions against the European champions. Really looking forward to that one again here at Hindmarsh Stadium, but that's where we will leave things for today. Again, our coverage all sponsored by our good friends at SMC. We thank them very much for joining us throughout this campaign. But until I speak to you tomorrow, it's bye for now.